everyone, welcome to another episode of It's the Learning Life for Real. I'm Tamika, and today we are going to be talking about how to overcome adversity. Before we get started, I just want to say welcome if it is that you're new to my channel, and if you're coming back, welcome again. I'm so happy that you joined me. Before we get started, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button below, and also remember to like the video. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know how I'm doing. So let's get started. So as we get started, one of the things I want to just establish first up is that we have all had to deal with adversity in some way, shape, or form in our personal and professional life. And if you say, no, Tamika, I have not had to deal with any kind of adversity, I would encourage you to drop me a comment, send me your secrets, because I would love to know what your secrets are. But for me and a lot of the people in my circle, I know that a lot of us have encountered, particularly in the last few years, a whole lot of adversity, whether that adversity was the loss of loved ones, whether it was a layoff, whether it was a broken relationship or marriage, whether it was a health diagnosis, whatever the issue was, whether it was a major change that they were dealing with. A lot of people I know have struggled in the last couple of years to deal with adversities. And I'm hoping through this video to share with you, through the lens of a book I recently read, The Coffee Bean Story, some strategies, some tips, and some insights that you could use to help you to be better able to overcome or handle the adversities when they come your way, and or to be in a position to help others that are struggling in this moment. So why should we care about adversities, and what exactly are we talking about when we talk about adversity and overcoming adversity? Adversity, as defined by the dictionary or in its simplest form, is any hardship, any misfortune, any difficulty, any setback that you're likely to experience in this journey called life. And I'm sure the road to your success, to your, whether personal or professionally, has not been smooth. So it's important that you learn how to better and more effectively handle and overcome adversity, so that you can come out or come through whatever that situation was in a better position than you were when you started. And also, if you're not currently walking through adversity or facing any challenge, it may be that the insights you gain from this particular video might help you in supporting somebody who you know that might be struggling with a big challenge or hardship at this point or stage in their life. So before I dive into the Coffee Bean Story, I want to ask you, or I want you to be thinking through, are you a carrot? Are you an egg? Are you a coffee bean? So remember, as you listen, I want you to be thinking about, are you an egg? Are you a carrot? Or are you a coffee bean? Or vice versa. So I want you to be thinking about those three things as I share the story. Don't cheat and go ahead of me. I want you to think now before you've heard the story. And as you listen also, I want to see basically what your thoughts are. So the Coffee Bean Story uses the powerful analogy of a pot of boiling water. So the pot of boiling water is representative of the hardships and challenges that we all encounter and face in life. So your pot of boiling water could be a divorce. It could be a transition in your life. You migrated to a new country. You're going through a major change. It could be that you are facing a serious health diagnosis. It could be that you've just lost a loved one. Your pot of boiling water is different from my pot of boiling water. But for the most part, like I said, we've all had to deal with adversity in some shape or form in our personal and professional life. So I'm going to assume that you have a pot of boiling water. And even if you don't have one now, you probably had one recently. Anyway, stay with me. So it uses the analogy of a pot of boiling water to represent adversity. And it tells the story of how, it gives the example rather, of how three objects respond when they are placed in the pot of boiling water. So I want you to be thinking through, are you the carrot? When the carrot goes into the pot of boiling water, the carrot in its original form is hard and it's firm. But when it's placed into the boiling water and sits there for any length of time, like if it stays, the longer the carrot stays in the pot of boiling water, is the more it loses its original form. In fact, if you boil carrots for 15-20 minutes, by the time you take your carrots out, they're going to be soft and they're going to be mushy. They're not going to be the same as they were when you put them in. So that's what happens when the carrot goes through adversity, hardships, setbacks, and difficulty. Then you have the egg. You know that an egg is very fragile in terms of its nature. It has a thin outer layer that protects its soft inner core. But what happens to the egg when the egg goes into the pot of boiling water? I love boiled eggs. I don't know about you. But one of the things that happens when the egg goes into the boiling water is the longer the egg stays in the boiling water, the harder it becomes. The egg loses its form, its original form, when it is boiled, and if it's boiled for a long time. So if you put an egg in water for 15 or 20 minutes, the longer it stays, the harder it becomes. The shell begins to crack and it totally is distorted from its original shape and form. Next up, we have the coffee bean. What happens when you put a coffee bean in a pot of boiling water? And I know you know the answer. The coffee bean changes the atmosphere. It changes its environment. So rather than being changed by the hardship that it went through or is going through, the difficulty or the setback, be it a broken relationship, be it a new job, be it the layoff, be it financial challenges, be it that health diagnosis, rather than being transformed by the circumstances that it's going through, the coffee bean transforms its environment by turning the water into coffee. So I want you now to think about having heard what happens when each of these objects goes into the pot of boiling water, what happens to them. Which are you? How do you deal with the adversity, the hardship, the setbacks, the problems that hit you in your personal or professional life? Have you been the carrot that wilts and gets soft when the pressures reach you? Do you weaken, or are you the egg? You become hard and brittle and broken, and you change and become somebody you are not because of just the hardship and the difficulties of life and your experiences. Do you become better or bitter? And then, of course, the coffee. Are you a coffee bean? Are you someone who is more likely to, as much as you're going through the hardship, the difficulty, or the setback, what happens? Do you become a better version of yourself? Do you walk away from that experience stronger, wiser, with experiences and perhaps a testimony that you can share with somebody else to encourage them as they walk through their own journey? How do you respond to adversity, challenges, or difficulties? Are you an egg? Are you a carrot? Or are you a coffee bean? Having asked the question about which are you, I'm just going to be transparent and straight up and tell you that as much as I would like to say that I've always been a coffee bean, I've not always been a coffee bean. I have experienced personal and professional setbacks and challenges that have left me feeling like a carrot, or I have showed up as a carrot where I've just been tired and discouraged and just struggling to move forward. And I've also had situations, primarily around relationships, whether those are personal or professional, where I have walked away feeling broken, feeling bitter, feeling betrayed, and so on and so forth. And I've also had experiences, and I think about when it is that I initially migrated here to the States, and I was trying to transition and to find my feet. I would have had to navigate some tough, challenges in just even trying to find a job. And in those moments, rather than allowing the challenges and the setbacks, and the many times you interviewed for the job and you got the second interview and you thought you were going to get the job and you didn't get it, there were moments when I felt crushed, and I could have allowed those failed interviews to basically demotivate me or discourage me, but I pushed through. I have shown up and continued to strive towards being a coffee bean. But I just want to say straight up that I haven't always been a coffee bean, depending on all the situations that I've had to deal with. And if you have managed to be a coffee bean for everything, more power to you. But some of us sometimes show up as an egg or as a carrot and as a coffee bean. So at this point, I want to now share with you 5 rules for how it is that you can avoid being the carrot, avoid being the egg, and to be a coffee bean. The first rule of being a coffee bean from Damon West and John Gordon, the writers of the Coffee Bean Story, is that you have to get up every day and work out. And what do they mean by workout? No, I'm not just talking about getting up and walking and exercises or going to the gym or however it is that you work out. That's important. But a huge part of being a coffee bean, Damon West recommends, is that you do your spiritual workout. And this is where you talk to God and you have conversations with God, and you want to ask yourself some questions as you go through your day, or even at the end of the day when you're reflecting on how your day go. You want to ask yourself, how did I do today? Did I do my best? And you also want to ask yourself, is there anybody that I need to forgive? And or is there anybody you're going to pray and ask to forgive you? So that's a part of your spiritual workout. Another part of the working out every day to make sure that you can show up as a coffee bean and you're not getting bitter but better is you also want to guard your thoughts. For those of you who believe and are Christians and you may have another faith, you want to guard your thoughts, your heart and your mind by the company that you keep. So a part of the workout is making sure the mental workout, it's guarding your spirit, it's moving away from anything that drains you, and it's making sure that you're feeding yourself well, you're feeding yourself happy, healthy, positive thoughts, and you're right. So that's the first rule of being a coffee bean. You have to get up every day and work out. So the second rule of being a coffee bean is to serve others. And yes, I know when you're going through a hardship and a trial, it might be hard to think about how you can help others. But the truth of the matter is, when you help others, you're actually helping yourself. So you want to think about how you can be a blessing to other people. And the helping others doesn't have to be financial. If you're so resourced, feel free. But it could be giving of your time and your talents to help somebody who is less fortunate than you. Because when you help others, you also help yourself. Helping others is just a natural feel-good thing to do, and you always want to make sure that you're paying it forward and you're helping or thinking about those around you who are less fortunate. Third rule of being a coffee bean is remember that you can only control 4 things. Damon West reminds us in this book that you really only control 4 things: the things you say, the things you think, how you react, and what you do. That's the only 4 things you have control. In a lot of instances, we get really stressed out and bent out of shape because we are trying to control the events and people in our lives or the environments in which we're at. And we really cannot change even what happens to us. In fact, I remember as far back as probably I was about 14 or 15, I read a book and I came across a quote that says, "We are not made or unmade by the things that happen to us, but by our reactions to them." So you cannot control how somebody is going to treat you. You cannot control what somebody is going to say or do to you. However, you can control to a large degree your response. Apart from that, we control nothing. The 4th rule of being a coffee bean is not to let your past define you. We all have a history, and a lot of times the people who you come into contact with try to hold you hostage to a previous version of yourself. Don't let anybody do that to you. Your past is no predictor or determinant of your future. So you get to choose to leave the mistakes behind you. You get to leave the past behind you. And by virtue of your mindset, if you have a growth mindset, you get to make a choice about what you will focus on, what you will do, and how you will push past your past circumstances to create the life you want for yourself, for your family, for your loved ones. So do not let anyone use your past to hold you hostage. And don't do it to yourself either. So the fifth and final rule of being a coffee bean is to watch your energy. Energy, like emotions, are contagious. One of the things about energy is that people observe what you do more than they pay attention to what you say, and they also pay attention to how you make them feel. You know, I think Maya Angelou has a quote that people will forget what you say, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So you want to pay attention to the energy that you take and bring into the rooms and the spaces that you're part of. Make sure that you're bringing an energy that is positive and an energy that promotes healthy relationships. So yes, those are the 5 rules for being a coffee bean. So when all is said and done, life is going to throw challenges, setbacks, and bumps at all of us. Your pot of boiling water is different from my pot of boiling water. But we get to choose whether we are going to be a carrot, whether we're going to be an egg, or whether we're going to be a coffee bean. Thank you for watching another video. Remember to hit like and subscribe so you never miss a video whenever I upload one.